You're listening to the AZREIA Show. If you're looking for quality real estate investing information that you can trust, you've found it. Stay tuned and join the tens of thousands of members that have already benefited from AZREIA, your home for education, market information, support, and networking opportunities that will advance your real estate investing career.
Hello and welcome to the AZREIA Show. This is your weekly dose of real talk, real deals, and real estate success in Arizona. And today's topic, we'll be discussing multifamily syndications, and we'll be talking about multifamily deals with Tim Fergestad.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Great job. Awesome.
Yep.
So Tim, give us a little bit of background. Who are you? How
Sure.
long you been in the Valley, and what's your scope?
Sure. I like to tell people up front, I'm a nerd. I was a physics and chemistry undergraduate focus, and then went and got a PhD in neuroscience and did a lot of technical work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Electron microscopy, electrophysiology, genetic manipulation, studying the molecular mechanisms of synaptic transmission.
All right.
Right? Yeah.
So if
tapping out. All right.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we have a neuroscientist that's going to be on the show today, Tim. So neuroscientist turned apartment syndicator.
Yep. I started doing, coming from biomedical education, like a lot of, my wife's a physician as well. We're trained thoroughly in that, but not in finances or investing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point we had to start figuring that out, and I realized some of my traditional investments were pretty crappy, and it just started to educate myself on other alternatives, and realized how awesome real estate is and how it's created more millionaires than any other vehicle for a number of reasons, and fell in love with that, and started going to AZREIA meetings to educate myself there many years ago, and I did land wholesaling, I did some fix and flip renovation. I mean, single family houses, rentals. I got those in. I became a licensed realtor. I wanted to flip and hold my own plexes here in the Valley, and at the time I realized things penciled better in other markets. So I went into other states and got several different single family rentals and stuff. Which I'm a hands-on type of guy. I like to do stuff, and I can, but I think it was good to have it away, so I didn't try to manage it myself and keep up a better return on my time doing the higher value work myself instead of going to clear toilets and other stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that; it's great, and if you can self-manage,
That's not great. Just kidding.
Well, So that's what's great about apartment syndications, and how I started investing in those and realized, wow, these are great, and they're passive. I started investing in other people's deals, and I still invest in other people's deals, but I started doing my own deals as well and sharing them because I didn't know they were an option. A lot of my investors didn't know. They're about a third of my investors are physicians, about a third of them are business owners, and their time's just better spent elsewhere than trying to play landlord.
Right.
So they can actually be passive.
So let's go back to the neuroscience really quick. So what is that, first and foremost?
Okay. Well, the study of the nervous system, right? And
This is so come on, it's the study of the me. I'm like, huh?
Well, there's different approaches, right?
Yeah.
There's the.
So is it the mind or is it the whole?
It can be. It's all related, right?
Okay.
So some people start at the big level and work down, right? They're psychologists and try to figure out which parts of the brain are involved in different aspects of behavior or something. Then there's me, right? I started at the bottom up and looking at the molecular mechanisms governing membrane excitability and synaptic transmission, and because it's an electrical network, right? Your muscles and neurons are some of the most electrical tissues in your body, and they function based off of ions flowing across membranes. And what are the molecules that dictate that, right? And so you start to scale up and figure out, well, how is that involved in learning and memory? When you strengthen connections, right? And how does that affect when those things get erratic and disordered, like heart arrhythmias or epilepsies and seizure disorders and stuff. And so I started working into more of that. And then in working on some of those transgenic animals and studies like that, I realized some of them are resistant to anesthesia, right? Which brings us into why do we sleep, right? We still don't even know that. We know it's really important. And thankfully, there's been a kind of a health renaissance in the past decade or so, and thankfully, and people are realizing, well, sleep's really important. It used to be a badge of honor, right? I work all the time, I don't sleep, but you realize you're much more effective and healthier if you get some sleep. Yes, for athletics, is for mental function, everything, disease states, everything.
So what drew your interest to that?
So I worked from the other way around. What drew my interest?
Into neuroscience.
Oh gosh, just it's kind of like the final frontiers, right, of not knowing how it works, right? We don't know why we sleep, right? Things like that. That's fascinating to me. We know kind of how your kidney works. We know, pretty well. We know how most things work, but in terms of the health sciences, the mind is kind of the final frontier.
Wow.
So it's fascinating, and it's incredibly powerful, important, and affects everybody, right? And
true, yeah,
amazingly. So
well, almost everybody. There's a lot of people out there with no minds.
Yeah, we're creatures that seek comfort, right, and the easy button, right, which is by design, right? If there's if there's a hard path and an easy path, and we choose the easy one. But in the long run, that's generally not good for you, right? Because it doesn't challenge you, you don't grow, right? That's something that, as a parent, I started to realize later. It took me a while to figure, if it tastes good, it's probably bad for you. If it tastes bad, it's probably good for you, right? If you take the car to work versus run or bike, right? It takes longer, it's harder, but it's better for you.
Because I read, because sometimes I get off on some of this stuff. So you said synapses transitions, right? Remember, Mike, I used the word synapses, and you was like,
I always
what
question Marcus's words sometimes. I'm like, can you define that or spell that, Marcus?
So I know I was reading one time, just happened to read, because I'm curious about all things, and they were saying that our bodies and our minds have a natural inclination to find the easiest path and create a routine, and then that gets us out of our flow of doing things more creative. Is there some scientific analogy behind that, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, our bodies are built for efficiency. Our minds are built for efficiency, right? And so, if anything you can push down because the outer part of your brain is the new part, right? That's the cerebral cortex is incredibly demanding, energetically speaking. So, anything you can push down to the brainstem or other stuff, right? Like when you're learning how to drive a car, it takes all your senses and it's very demanding. Right. But once you get good at it, you can just put it back down there. You can do other things, other tasks at the same time. Same with walking or riding a bike, right? The first time you ride a bike, it can be a hard workout, but you get really good at it. Your body gets really effective at it, and you get very diminished returns for exercising on the bike the same way all the time. You got to mix it up and stuff. So your body gets really efficient at. You're trying to burn fat on an exercise bike every day. It's gonna work really well the first week or two, and then it's not gonna work very well anymore because your body gets really good at saving the energy to do that task.
Okay. So for that investor, that's either all walks of life. We all have fear at some level, right? Whether they're getting in the business or going from 10 units to 20 units or something bigger. You're not used to. Right. So I'm sure you know the answer, not cure to fear, and you don't have any fear because
right. No fear.
What's some advice you'd give? Well,
there's a few different sort of multifamily gurus out there, and I was trying to buy some plexes in Columbus back in the day and struggling, and somebody introduced me to Rod Cleef and his group, if you're familiar.
Yeah, Rod Cleef.
And I really liked him. He resonated with me, and I signed up for his program. It's been great. I'm still there, but he was in town here in Phoenix a month ago, and I was on a panel again, sharing, and somebody asked a question like, how do you take action? How much do you need to know before you can do that, right? And how do you know when you're ready? What happened until you felt ready? And that's one of the quotes I like is, ready isn't a feeling, right? It's a decision. And that one clicks with me because you're never going to feel ready. Right. You do it anyway. And so fear's your interpretation of the situation. Got it. Right? And so is that sort of in terms of taking steps and actually taking action in real estate? Is that kind of your question?
Yeah, that's good,
Yeah, you decide you want it, and how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You just break down the actionable steps and just start going. Start taking action. That's how you figure out where you want to go and what's working, what's not, so you can pivot. But
is it true that we're born with two fears, loud noises and fear of falling?
I don't know. I
caught him. I got him.
Yeah,
I got the neuroscience.
Okay.
That's right. Right. There are reflexes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. We reflexively startle for things, and we gravitate. So if your body is meant to not give into gravity.
Yeah. Because I heard someone say, like, if you put a baby on your hand and they start to lean backwards, they're going to go like that. But how do they know that they're going to fall? I guess that's a reflex, or.
Yeah. It's your vestibular cochlear apparatus inside your inner ear responds, and it's a gyroscope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right in your body. You know.
All right. Hey, I'm learning too. Still,
So what was that switch, right, to make you go from neuroscientist and doing everything over to real estate?
To real estate? Well, to get into real estate is when I started looking at our investments and tracking the market and looking, okay, the market did 8-9%, right? And I'm looking at all our investments, and I'm like, almost everything in our investments were things we put in there, right? And I was like, well, this isn't much of this isn't growing.
Money. Yeah.
Right. And why am I not getting the returns that the general market was? And not just 401k, but just the stuff we put in cash as well and stuff. I was like, well, there's fees, all those hidden fees, and that's, I forget is it Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, right?
Okay.
One of his quotes is, compounding interest is a wonder of the world sort of thing, but also is the tyranny of compounding costs, right? And when you work out the math of how just like a 3% fee on a 8% return crushes it. Just crushes it.
Okay. Yeah. What's it like? 60-70% of your 401k goes to fees or something over the lifetime of it. I heard things like that.
Yeah. It's brutal. It's brutal. It's sad.
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest complaints about the traditional financial industry is the misalignment. Right. That's why I love the private investments we do, because the investor comes first. We give them a preferred return. We don't make anything until they make a certain amount of money. Then we share in profits after that. I'm like, that's alignment, know. Whereas
the better we do, the better you do.
Yeah. Traditional financial advisors they get fees for the products they sell you or something like that, or they get a fee for assets under management. So they get 2% of your $2 million they're managing for you or something. And if you lost money, they still get 2% of that year for what they manage. And they would argue that, well, two things. One is they can't control the market forces.
Right.
If that happens, so I'm like, yeah. But that's how you're supposed to try to mitigate that. But they say, well, if we are production based, then we're not safely incentivized, right? Well, then we're only going to shoot for the big winners. And I'm like,
be too aggressive.
That's on you. If you're too aggressive, right? I'm not going to work with you. You're going to have to figure that out. That's not my problem. Anyway.
Okay. So, why real estate as that alternative investment?
It's a tangible, physical item, right? It's you can insure it, right? It's never going to go to zero. Stocks can go to zero, right? I mean, it's paper. It's a paper asset.
Right.
Whereas I like a physical thing. It's tangible. It fits a need, right? That gets back into what we were talking about earlier, something with purpose, right? Most of our stuff is flipping apartment communities, right? We call it multifamily value add, but we also have a lending fund, and it's a feeder fund with our bigger partner, DLP Capital. But the point of it is, it helps create, and they focus on lending to people who are developing attainable housing, right? For workforce housing in the United States, right? And part of that criteria is to have rents that are below market, and they have different requirements for their borrowers for that. But they're rock stars. They've been running that fund for over 10 years. They have over $1 billion in assets under management in that fund alone, and it's something that I'm super excited to be a part of, right? Because people want to do well while doing good, and that's a great opportunity for people to get their money. Super consistent, great returns that are without the volatility.
So did you start with single families and then move to multifamily, or did you start with like a syndication to get your feet warm and then go all in as a syndicator?
I did the first. I did what most people do. It happened organically, right? Okay. I started small and scaling and did some wholesaling. Did some of that.
Tell us about that first deal, first couple of deals or whatever. Because you're a neuroscientist, right? So you going from a neuroscientist to doing wholesaling, that's a big switch.
It was. A lot of those skill sets don't translate.
Right.
For sure. But some of them do, right? Being a numbers-based person, analytical, right? I could look up the traditional returns you expect on a property, just sticking to a single-family rental example. And for the viewers or listeners who don't know, the rule of thumb is like the 1% rule.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Which used to be the 2% rule back in the day.
But now there's like
a half, right.
Well, which is you want the monthly rent to be about 1% of the purchase price of the property. So if you buy a $200,000 house, you want to get about $2,000 a month rent. Mm-hmm. And that's hard to do in a lot of markets. That's why I went into other markets back in the day when I got some. And like some of my first ones were in Indianapolis, which were turnkey, right? Okay. Somebody already sort of flipped it in their system is to, they make money on the flip. They need people to buy their flips. Right, and they had a property management set up and stuff, so that was turnkey. It was really easy for me remotely, not having to find and manage a property manager, somebody who I liked and trusted already. So,
okay. So you went from neuroscience, or you were still a neuroscientist, and then you said, "Hey, I'm gonna put some capital into these turnkey investments here in Indianapolis."
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I know there's some nuances.
Yeah, I did other stuff in there too, but yeah. So diversification, right? Try to get some real estate in the portfolio, and to feel it out, see what sort of returns I'm getting on those, and it doesn't take too long to realize how important screening is for tenants. Yep. Whether you have, I've had Section 8 tenants who the property managers said they vetted, and some have been good, some have been bad. Like, oh, don't worry, they're going to lose their voucher after they did that. I'm like, well, I don't care if they lose their voucher. Yeah. I just lost $12,000 and have to repair that house. But managing the manager is, for tax purposes, by the way, it doesn't count. But I think it's like I spent a lot of time doing that. So.
And I think that's probably the most important thing when you're investing out of state, right?
Yes.
It's managing the manager, and a lot of people drop the ball on that. They say, hey, this looked like a good manager, let's try them out. So how did you get with that?
How do you vet them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. Some of it's trial and error. I mean, because kind of like a lot of contractors, no offense, but they're great until they're not. Right. And in the property management world in particular, I think it's such a people-oriented, people interaction, social skill, soft skill industry, and you're managing people, and one regional manager for that property management company leaves, and the whole thing can just fall apart, right? And so it can be great, for a year or two, and then staffing changes and stuff. That's kind of one of the benefits of going to the bigger properties, in my opinion, is you get professional on-site management, right? And institutional quality product, but you also get really good managers available instead of the smaller ones are a little more hit and miss. I mean, in an 8-plex, if you can even just give a rent discount to somebody who's kind of handy. And they can basically play landlord and fix all the little things that come up in the other one, and that's an ideal scenario. I love it when that happens. But it took me a little while to learn that if you have 8 single-family houses and one of them is vacant, right? Something for a month or two, right? Nobody's paying the note on that one, right? So now I have to pay that one, or hope the profit from other ones can kind of cover it or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I have a 30-unit apartment community and 2 or 3 people are vacant, or 4 or 5 or 6, the other ones still make enough to cover that, right? So that was one of the bigger parts of me scaling out of single family into multifamily. I realized, wow, the power of scale. That was just one example, but expenses, right? You don't have to drive all around town. You have on-site maintenance usually for the 60 units or more, but also you have to go to Home Depot over here and find the right part for that one over here. They're all the same part. They're all, somebody's on site.
Efficiency, like we were talking about.
Operational efficiency, big time.
Yep. Okay.
As well as the financial efficiencies.
Which is very, very keen in property management, right? Is
for sure
managing the property manager and making sure, because I always tell people you got to vet that property manager to make sure that you set the expectation, because a lot of time they want to set the expectations, and some people as newer landlords, they'd be like, okay, well, this is what the property manager said, so this is what I got to do. But for you guys out there that's just getting into it, set the expectations with the property manager.
You got to make sure the tenants stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. And sometimes the tenants will leave just because of the property manager.
Yeah, they have outstanding work orders for fixes. They don't have AC in the summer for weeks. They're like, this place sucks, I'm out of here.
Yep.
And in Oak Street, did that start when you jumped in the business? Was
Oak Street Assets is my multifamily company, right?
Okay.
Started doing that. So that's, again, traditionally, I educate and share, vet and give access to private real estate syndications.
Awesome.
Do that.
So how about that transition from going from single family or passive investing, right, to now you're the syndicator, you're the one that's going out there finding the deals, finding the capital, vetting the deals, everything like that, because you're going from single family to now big boy status.
Yep.
How was that mental transition plus the physical transition?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing for me is the stress of having investor capital I'm in charge of, right? Because these are friends and family as well as other people. I their money is sacred to me, right? So much more than mine. I'm not like too loose and crazy with my own funds, but I'm a little looser, right? I'll take more risk with mine than I will with somebody else's. So that's been probably the hardest part of it. But in terms of all the hats I wear, I've teamed up with other people over the years. I've grown and have great relationships. It's really hard to find a deal right now. But I have people finding deals because they get them off market. They have the relations, the broker relations, all that stuff. Because they have a track record. They close, they're experienced, they're good operators. People know that they can execute and perform. So that's great to have. We're closing on another one in a couple weeks in North San Antonio, great market and all that stuff. But it's because I've partnered with other people, and I originally started doing it myself, trying to do it myself, right? Do the underwriting, keep up broker relations, do the due diligence, fly out to these places. I still do that. But I don't try to source deals myself anymore. It got really hard here in Phoenix, right? We had like Californians would come in and their cost of capital was less, so they'd be a 1031 or something. They'd overpay for a project that I couldn't get to pencil, and it just didn't make sense. So I stopped trying to do that. But it's very educational to try to wear all the hats yourself. It's just not scalable, right? So managing, working with the asset management, working with the property managers, raising capital. I've helped with the pursuit costs, right? Earnest money. The lender has deposits they require. They have attorney retainers and stuff. So there's different hats you can wear, and it's just you got to team up when you're taking on bigger projects.
So how did you find that team to partner with?
I'm promiscuous. I've been dating different people over the years, and I have some partners I've done multiple deals with. I like them and get along with them. Some people I like them and it was a good deal, but I probably wouldn't work with them again, right? So it's been that. It's a process. There wasn't like an app I could just swipe right and left and pick the right person right away. That'd be awesome. No, we should. Did you guys have that? An AZREIA app?
Yeah.
For matchup. Right?
Matchup.
I know some places do like an ultimate partnering event where you go there and it's just about that. It's just like kind of like speed dating type of thing. That'd be kind of cool.
So did you just start like a PPM, or how did you start raising money?
So when you're doing multifamily offerings and these the SEC requires, about 100 years ago, the SEC, people were selling swampland in New York, from Florida or whatever, and the SEC said, whoa, we need some rules. So they said, if we all partner on a deal, we can do a joint venture, and we're all actively involved, it's not a problem. If I bring the money, right, and you guys do the work or something, it's a combination of that. That's fine as long as we're all actively there and stuff. But if I'm not active, me and my friends bring the money, right, then they go, whoa, these guys are not active, they're just investors. Then you have to call it a syndication. You have to structure it in a different way because you're selling a security now. You're basically so in that case, a lot of my stuff I do is syndications. So they're passive. They have limited control, but they also have limited risk, right? So for most investors, they're like, yeah, right. I have a few investors who they want to be active. They're just go-getters and stuff, which is great. That's fine as long as they can bring some value to the team or something. But as you start running out of your own money and you start doing bigger projects, you need to bring on these other investors, and so it's a process of getting your name out there more, right? Which is something I'm. This isn't this right. This is a face for radio or whatever they say, right? So I've never and sort of introverted. Putting myself out there was not something I was comfortable with originally, right? So it's been a little bit of a journey for me to. I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of personal growth there. With the back like I was talking about with Rod Cleef's group and stuff. He's a big part. Mindset's huge. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, he's big on mindset.
Well, you almost all the successful people I know say the same thing, right? It's like success is 90% mindset, and the more I get into it, I start to fully appreciate that it's not just some strategy that you can implement. There's plenty of hurdles that you need to overcome along the way, and if you don't have your head straight, that ain't going to work.
That's so true. So you talk about Rod Cleef. So were you a member of his group?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right. So that's where you got the mentorship from, and learn from?
Yeah, some of it. Yeah, for sure. I've been part of different masterminds and done different things over the years. But in terms of the multifamily, getting into the more of the syndication space, yes, originally. But he kind of rebooted me on a personal growth.
Okay.
Right? Which I was doing a lot of technical growth for years, reading research, developing technical skills and stuff. But I didn't come home want to read some more stuff, work on myself.
Right.
But it wasn't probably more till I had kids and stuff, and more of a family and stuff, and started realizing I hated sociology and stuff like that. Now I realize it's crazy important, right? And being able to communicate with people is kind of fundamental.
True. So, go ahead, Mike.
So you created a fund. What kind of fund? Is that what I'm assuming you did, or
for
did
some
you
projects,
do a joint venture?
For some, a syndication is technically a type of fund, right? But I'm also a fund manager. I'm a general partner on some syndications.
Okay.
We bring in the limited partners or the investors into the project. And most of the deals I do are that way. I'm actively involved on the sponsorship team or the active partners.
Okay.
I am a fund manager on a few deals where I invest alongside my investors into somebody else's deal, and I'm I'm passive.
Right.
And so
like a capital raiser?
Yep, a capital raiser, allocator for things, for several deals anyway.
Awesome.
Most of my deals I'm an active partner on.
So you're building a lot of relationships and raising a lot of money then.
Yeah, starting to do more and more. It's hard, we're emotional creatures, right?
Yeah.
And I never really appreciated how they said that the economy is confidence based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And now I get it, right? Because the stock market's up and everybody wants to buy, and I'm like, no.
Right.
You buy when it's down, when it's on sale, right? And that's the same with the real estate right now. It's like, we're at the bottom of the market cycle. Now's the time to acquire as much as you can. And people are like, no, it's down. I'm like, yeah. And so you're trying to nurture them and educate them and let them know, yeah, we got a deal coming up right now. And they're like, oh, okay, I heard that it's down. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So some of that's been tricky. When things are good, right? Everybody wants in, and you're like, well, okay, we're trying to mitigate, the market cycles and how things will go. And so in the last cycle, that's probably what a lot of people heard, right? Is people with floating rate debt, right? So it got burned and stuff. They paid too much and it went down. But yeah, for the most part.
What's the best tip that helps you raise money that you do that works quite often?
Tip that raises money. Gosh.
Or something that you do, or go, or place you go, or...
For the most part, what I've started doing more of, which is helpful, is educating people as to just the options, right? Okay. Right. Back to kind of what you guys do, and how I started was, there's REITs over here where you don't have to know anything. It's super passive and liquid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you're not really an owner. You don't get the tax benefits, and it's really like a real estate flavored stock.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. It's not diversified. Right. It has all sorts of issues with it. The returns aren't as good. Right. And whereas all the way over here is like developing your own house or property. Right. That's probably it takes the most experience. And I present kind of a webinar style thing where I explain here are all the options, right, for real estate investing. Right. You can do it depends on how much you know, how much capital you have, right? All your different options, but on this scale of experience and knowledge, how much energy do you want to do? That's what it comes down to originally. I always tell people, think about this. Do you want to be active or passive, right? Yeah. How much energy and time do you really have to put into this? Do you want to put into it? What's a good return on your time? Like I said, a lot of my investors are high income earners, and it's like, oh yeah, they're excited by real estate. They know how awesome it is. They don't exactly know what they're getting into and how much time and energy it is. I have a friend who's an anesthesiologist out in California, and he bought a project in Wisconsin, and he ended up losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because he's trying to do it himself, right? And without the experience, and he went too big too fast. And it happens. And I mean, he learned a lot. That's a seminar and a half. But
and now he knows, I need to partner with experienced operators.
Right. I mean, as a high income earner and like as an anesthesiologist, he was looking to mitigate the taxes. Right, which is kind of the play, which makes sense, right? But a lot of my investors don't want to even do that. They just they want the best return on their money and the best return on their time. And that's staying where they're experienced and staying in the OR, and putting their money into something like what I do, right? And so that's
great.
Solving that problem is kind of the easiest way I help people. Back to your question is, I educate them, let them know what the options are, and just say, knowing that, do you want to be active or do you want to be passive?
Right.
And then you mentioned you had a podcast, so is that through the podcast? Do you get that information to these high-income earners through the podcast, or just relationship building?
Sometimes. It's more relationship building and networking. They're trying to help each other, right? That's solving problems is really where it's at. And it took me a while to figure that out, right? Because the bigger projects we take on, the bigger problems we have, the more help we need.
Gotcha.
And the more help the more knowledge we have, we can help other people. And I've been able to. I started my podcast a couple years ago. Phoenix Prosperity Podcast has been great. I've met all sorts of great people, and I've been able to help tons of them. And just playing Connector alone is super powerful.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about a project you're either working on or just finished. How did you source the deal, find the deal, raise the capital? Kind of walk us through, briefly one of your deals.
Well, I'll talk about the one we're doing right now. We're wrapping up. In a couple weeks, we're going to close on another deal in Texas. This one is in a great market in North San Antonio. It's from an owner-operator. You don't really see that very often in the sense of it's a single, it's like a mom-and-pop style, which when you get over 100-unit apartment complex, usually it's more institutional owners or syndicators or something. It's a team. But the PCA, for the property condition assessment from the lender came in, and it's like an appraisal, and they come in, and their job is to find everything wrong with it, and they were like, yeah, this place is great. Like, we've never seen a place this nice, and it was just super well maintained, right?
So how did you guys find that owner operator?
That one was off market through relationships. So we had bought one earlier this year in just 10 miles away.
Gotcha.
And so we're kind of on the radar sort of thing already, and operating really well on that one already. So that was kind of a distressed property, which can be great for us, and it's a lot of opportunity. But got that going well, and then we saw this one and had it put in an offer, and they said no, we'll take this other offer that was higher. We're like, okay. Then a few months later, that fella through, and they came back to us, right? Because we couldn't. Our underwriting just didn't support it, right? That's the hard part, is being patient and consistent and sticking to your guns and your criteria. Over time, it works out. And so they came back to us and said, "Hey, are you still interested in this property?" And we said, "Oh yeah, it's a great property." And so that's how that one was sourced, I guess. And then for me, for the capital is. So I haven't had it. I did a deal earlier this year, and then I haven't done anything all year. Just nothing showed up that was attractive enough to me. There's been opportunities. Like I said, I have partners who were like, "Hey, Tim, come raise with us on this deal and partner with us." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." It wasn't quite. Depends on what your investors want too. Right.
Because that's first and foremost.
Are they looking for cash flow? Are they looking for growth? They're looking for combination. A lot of our stuff's a combination. But usually when you're doing value add, it doesn't really cash flow up front. You got to buy it, fix it up, then it starts to cash flow a year or two later. And then depending upon the market cycle, you either sell it or refinance it and give them their money back and try to keep it cash flowing or something. Most of my investors are growth minded right now. They're in the earning years, and they aren't trying to buy back their time or reduce the hours they work, with passive cash flow. I'm getting more of those. Right, and one of the big things is for this one right now, why I was excited about it, because the way it penciled, and it cash flows day one, so we got a good deal on it with the financing. So that's kind of a way to mitigate risk a lot as well. And it's going to build. So we have some cash flow. It's got some renovation opportunity. Some of the renovated units are already getting the market rent, so the business plan is kind of proven. Right. So that's awesome. You mitigated that pretty well. But the tax losses for 2025 are huge. It's over 70% is the estimated by our cost segregation team. Okay. So you put in like $100,000 investment, you get like a $72,000 loss on paper, which for people who do have passive income, cash flow coming from syndications, they need losses to offset this, so they don't have to pay taxes on it. Or if they sold something, which not a lot of people are selling right now, but if they did, they made $100,000. Now that's $70,000. They don't have to pay taxes on what they just made this year. And again, there's the kick the can game, but there's different ways of mitigating all that. And it's, you want your money now and pay taxes later, or obviously yes. So that's one of the big. Some people are in real estate just for those tax advantages. That's how good they are.
Especially the high income earners, because they're trying to offset those taxes.
Well, it depends, right? So it does. Those are passive losses, not active losses. Right. Okay. So like my buddy in California, he was trying to actively run the apartment complex so he could call those losses active losses to offset his anesthesiology income. But for most people, passive investors, that's passive losses. It can't offset your active income. Energy can do that. Oil and gas, right? And I've been looking at that for a while, and it's just such a historically shady industry. It's issues and
volatile.
But the government wants more of that in there, so they give tax incentives to it. So you can get active losses on your investment if you do it in a particular way for some of those. And you can put in a $100,000 investment and get sometimes a $100,000 paper loss, which in their tax bracket saves them enough to pay for over half their investment, right?
Right.
But the oil and gas, it usually goes big, and then it tapers down, and you don't know how long it's going to go before they sell it, or you just hold on to it forever. Anyway, I don't like to have the tax tail wake the dog, whatever the saying is. So I've been looking at those for a while because I have investors who are asking for active losses, right? But I'll share with them what I know, but I decided not to personally raise for it because real estate's my favorite. It's just so awesome.
Stay where your passion is a lot of times.
It's a need, right? It's a necessity. You have a little pyramid-shaped thing down here. I keep thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
You're right.
Safety in housing is fundamental.
It is. So you guys are actively raising on...
We're finishing up that one right now. That was like an $11 million purchase, so we're raising like $4 million. There's a few spots left right now. But it's generally our investments offer for our investors a preferred return, right? Like say 8%, right? So they get an 8% return on their money.
No matter what.
Well, it's not guaranteed, but they get that first. We put that first, we prioritize that return for them first, and then we give them back their capital, and then we split the profits 80-20 or something. It depends on the deal and the investment tier, how much they invested. Maybe it'll be 90-10 or maybe it'll be 70-30. It depends on the deal. But we try to double, generally speaking, most of our deals, we try to double their investment in 5 years or less, which is generally like double stock market returns traditionally. So.
Okay.
That's great.
What are you seeing with all of the talk in multifamily, right?
Like market?
At the bottom of the market,
yeah,
kind of where are you seeing us in?
Yeah, well, it's very market dependent, right? Like just
so kind of macro.
Taking Phoenix, for example, though.
Okay, we'll go micro with Phoenix.
Ending a cycle of building, right? There was, 75,000 new units built in the past couple of years or something like that, but the absorption's been amazing, right? That across the street, driving in, I saw the Escape or something, catty corner. They got signs up, they have, discounts on first month's rent or something like that.
So one of the stats was 50,000 new units.
It was 40,000 in 20.
Well,
20.
It was last year they celebrated. They had a goal of 50,000 where they hit.
Okay.
Absorption. No, just the built.
Okay.
And less than 22% were affordable in workforce.
Okay.
The rest are like luxury apartments. So going back to what you were just about saying, the free rent. So do you feel we're oversaturated with luxury?
With luxury.
Or just those nicer, amenity-driven.
North Scottsdale and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are right now. Yeah, some of them are. But for standard, the average B-class workforce housing stuff, no, the absorption's been pretty darn good. Out in the sprawl, you're seeing a couple months concessions. Right. If you're out in Buckeye or Goodyear or something, they're giving away a couple free months of rent or something to sign up, and they're still struggling to get occupied. But some spots are still bidding wars, right? Wow. In the pockets, right? So it's unique. It depends. We have several deals in Nashville, and they had the same thing. They had a huge boom, and it trickles down to the other ones, right? And it's stabilizing. Which is good. That's why, like this one we're doing in North San Antonio, it's infill type of thing. There's no new product being built around it and stuff, so it's protected. So in that sense, and so the market's been really strong. Yeah, it's again back to what we were talking about before. We're for some asset classes, quality product, we're already past the bottom of the market cycle, right? But for the general apartments, the indicators are largely that we're past and things are going up. And I say that not just by estimates, but the big guys are voting with their dollars now. Some of the Blackstone, some of those other ones, right? They're starting to put in hundreds of millions of dollars every week in acquiring new stuff. Right. So that's pretty telling.
Yeah, it is.
As well. In most markets, again, it varies on the market, but generally speaking, I think now is absolutely the best time to buy for the next 5 years, for sure.
I think it was at our last market update, Dan Oma was saying, was it Innovation Homes? I think they're preparing for they're raising a bunch of money now
Yeah.
to start coming back into the market. Yeah,
Yeah,
we got to get it now. Why
Arizona's been a real estate boon,
Heaven.
right?
Yeah.
It's
great.
There's so many people moving here still, right? But it's for multifamily. We track mainly quality job growth, and Arizona, right? They've done a really good job of bringing in a lot of great quality companies, bringing a ton of quality jobs here.
So what was your biggest setback and biggest accomplishment so far?
Oh gosh, I'd say the biggest setback was the Fed, right, jacking up rates. Not because and the Treasury and the values went down, all that hurt, but it was because I personally had to bail on a deal we had and lost earnest money on a deal, and this was spring of 22, and we had a lender bail on us, and we had another lender retrade us after that, and the rates just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and our capital partner couldn't perform on time and stuff, and then I'm glad we didn't do the deal. I'm glad it played down the way it did, but that was probably the biggest punch.
Okay.
Right? But again, I got glad that we didn't close on it and bring investor money into it.
Okay.
That's, again, the risks that we take as the general partners, right? That the limited partners don't have. They don't sign on the loan. They don't have to, a lot of the risks are on us.
The general partners.
Again, it's another reason why I think these are some of the best risk-adjusted returns out there, where you can have real estate in your portfolio and not have to do anything. You just get a K1 and monthly or quarterly distributions. And you get the tax, some great tax benefits of being an actual owner compared to like a REIT or something. That said, like we have a private REIT, which is our lending fund, which is taxed a little differently, but it's again, those are some of the best risk-adjusted returns out there. I call it double a high-yield savings account because there's no lockup period most lending funds have like a 12-month lockup period or something, like a CD or something, in order to get the returns. Ours doesn't have that. So it's a great place to put cash. You don't know where to put it. If you have it sitting in a high yield savings account making maybe 4% or something, we can over double that in ours. And this fund is so big, it has new loans originating and closing every month, which is why there's no lockup period. But it's run by owner operators. And so if anybody ever does default, they have a pretty low delinquency rate. But if they ever do, they just buy the property at a discount out of the fund and develop it themselves for a bigger product or sell it. So the fund's never had a loss in over 10 years. Wow. So I'm like, that's a great spot to be in. That's an incredible risk-adjusted return.
So how, as we wind down, how does someone get a hold of you to participate and work with Oak Street?
Okay. Well, that fund is impactlendingfund.com.
Okay.
Right, that's the one where that lends for attainable housing, that focus in the U.S. But timfergestad.com is kind of a good spot where you can learn about the lending fund or go to learn about our website and some of our freebies. We talk about what makes multifamily good compared to other investment options, but also we didn't really get into it much on the show. Is I'm focusing lately on legacy stuff, doing a legacy series and anyway. So I've been
really quick.
That's what's that's just what's on my mind because I've been writing this blog series about it, and I just had a kid leave the nest. And so it's did I instill the values and stuff and the whole, well, I guess in the real estate frame of mind, what I was thinking of sharing was, well, there's a Sanskrit proverb, it's you don't need to leave a good son, right, any wealth.
Okay.
And if you have a bad son, there's no reason to give him any wealth.
Right.
So it was, and from a, what's a legacy? What do you, inheritance, right? It's heritage over inheritance. It's not about giving them something. So in housing, do you want to, why are we doing this? Why are we doing real estate investing, right? And am I doing it so I can get a rental property to pay for my kids' college and then let them have it when they're older or something as some income, like where they're going to run it into the ground because they don't know how to manage it or maintain it, or if you teach them how to buy it or build it and maintain it and rent it out, right? It's the feeding the fish or teaching them how to fish, and then they're going to be fine. You don't need to leave it to them. They have all the skills they need.
Yeah, I think that legacy piece is more the education versus the assets, right?
100%.
Is this all on your website?
Yep. And the blogs, I have a series of that, and there's more coming and some other tools coming out. But I'm excited about that.
So timfergestad.com.
Yep. Or oakstreetassets.com too. Fergestad's hard to spell for people.
Yeah, or oakstreetassets.com.
We'll have it all in the show notes.
Yeah, everything will be in the show notes. So any last parting words before we let you go, Tim?
No, just back to that. You never feel ready,
Yeah.
right? Ready's not a feeling, right? It's a
I like
decision.
that. That was good.
Yeah.
That's what I like to share.
Awesome,
All right.
man. Well, yeah, we'll have you back, man.
Yeah.
I love local investors sharing their story, man. So
Cool.
I definitely want to go more into the legacy with you as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Cool.
So
Thanks
thank you
for
for
being here.
being a guest on the show.
Thank
Tim.
you guys
really
very much.
appreciate it.
This has been great. I appreciate you.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to the AZREIA Show with your hosts, Marcus Maloney and Mike Delprete. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you found this information valuable, head over to AZREIA.org and learn more about our community.